Okay, so in this part we continue talking about imaginary numbers, and in the previous video we talked about I, and we said that I is an imaginary number which the square of this number gonna give me -1. So I square is equal to -1. Now in the SAT math exam you really don't need to know a lot about imaginary numbers and complex number, because of course they are very wide subject, and you don't need really all to know all the things about them to be able to solve the problems related to the imaginary numbers and complex numbers in the SAT math section. So here we're gonna just prepare you with the basics so you can solve any problem in the math SAT exam which deal with imaginary numbers. So most of the time you're gonna deal with a problem that asks you to simplify a certain formula that contain imaginary numbers, and let's give some example about that. So it might ask you, for example, to simplify I square or I cube. Now let's begin here. Let's look to this. Now I know that I is equivalent to I square is equivalent to -1. So if I need to simplify I to the power of 3, then I know that at least that I to the power of 3 is equivalent to I multiplied by I squared, and I know that from this I know that I square is equivalent to -1, so I multiplied by -1, which is equal to -I. Let's take another example. For example, I to the power of 0 is equivalent to what? Of course, any number in mathematics, any number, we know that any number to the power of 0 is equivalent to 1. And this can be easily proved by just saying that I to the power of 0 is equivalent to I of 1 minus 1, and we know that I to the power of 1 minus 1 is equivalent to I over I, which is equal 1. But it is very simple to note the fact that any number to the power of 0 is equal to 1. And now let's take another example. Assume that we have I to the power 4. Okay, so I know just that the 4 is equivalent to 2 plus 2, and so that is equivalent I square multiplied by I square. Now I square from here is I square is equivalent to -1. That's the basic. Always that's the only thing you really need to memorize about, the only formula that you need to memorize about the imaginary numbers, that I squared is equivalent to -1, which is the definition of an imaginary number. So back to the problem. I have I to the power of 4. I know from the power rules that I to the power of 4 is equivalent to the I to the power of 2 multiplied by I to the power of 2. because in the power rules you have the same base here and both of them to the power of 2, and that's gonna be equal to I to the power of 4. Now I square is minus 1 multiplied by minus 1 is equivalent to 1. Of course, you can think also about it in this way. I to the power of 4 is the same as I to the power of 2 all to the power of 2, and this is gonna be minus 1 from the definition of the imaginary number for I square. Minus 1 to the power of 2 is gonna be 1. So it is really important in the on the math set exam to know the power rules.